So the question I have is, are we willing to admit that we have a problem? Are we willing to admit to ourselves that there's something we need to work on? Are we willing to admit that there are habits which we would like to get rid of? There are other habits that we need to develop more of. If the answers to any of these questions is yes, if we have the courage to admit to ourselves what it is that we need to get rid of and what it is that we need to work on, and sit down and identify the challenges along that path, then there's hope. And then otherwise, it's almost like you're just not ready for a journey of growth. Whether that journey is quitting pornography, quitting any kind of social media addictions, screen time addictions, video games, drugs and alcohol, or anything else, sex, or taking a step into your life and focusing on the disciplinary side of building something physically, whether it's your body or career or anything in relation to those. If you're not willing to admit that there's something to be worked on, then we're just not ready to begin. So step number one is for sure the ability to identify that there's potentially a problem, and you're willing to investigate that. You're willing to go after that and discover more. That is very difficult, especially for men. It's very difficult to admit that today, in this moment in my life, at the age of 30, 35, 40, wherever, I'm not exactly where I want to be. And we're not talking about having ambitious dreams that are too ambitious in ways that might be a little bit too silly to have, right? We're not talking about going from zero to making $1 trillion investments. What we're talking about is achievable goals, and that's really the most important part of it. I would like to reach a point where I can do maybe 150 push-ups non-stop, just as a silly example. And the truth is, I may never really get there. But a better way for me to set a real goal that's actually achievable is to go for maybe 3 or 4 sets of 20, right? That's something that I can actually work towards, because as I do my push-ups normally, maybe I can get to 15, 16 comfortably. And then from there, it's like, wow, that's only 5 more push-ups away. So when we're talking about quitting an addiction, when we're talking about quitting anything that we have built a habit towards, there are essentially 2 ways to go about it. Number 1 is to go cold turkey, and number 2 is to gradually create a change. And the idea of, gradually creating a change or going cold turkey, you can debate that forever. But what's important to recognize is you have to get to know yourself. And in the process of getting to know yourself, to understand what works for you as opposed to anyone else, you'll be failing a whole lot. So be okay with that. Number 1, recognize what it is that you need to work on. And number 2, be okay with failing in that process of it, because the failure is not really you failing. It's really discovery. It's a journey of inner growth. It's a journey of discovering who you are and what works for your body and what doesn't, right? So another person might have been able to quit cigarettes cold turkey after 25 years of smoking. And for a lot of people, that just doesn't work. I know people personally that have struggled with it all their lives, and they've been able to take away maybe 3 months, 4 months, 6 months away from smoking cigarette, tobacco, and have fallen back into it. So smaller goals might be the way, but we don't know until you devote the energy to get to know yourself, right? I have gone through phases where I had to keep a log of how often am I watching pornography, how often am I drinking, how often am I masturbating, wherever the task is. I needed to be hyper aware of where am I in my cycle with it. And really what I've found through that journey for a couple of years of committing to it is that there's no need to aim at quitting your addictions lifelong. There's no need for that. Quitting an addiction is only a daily task, right? It really is only a process of letting go of something for that day, and then it's like if you can do it, if you can let go of it for one day, you can let go of it for 2 days. Well, if you can avoid it for 2 days, you can probably stay away from it for a whole week. How about 2 weeks? If you can do 1 week, you could probably do 2, and then it goes on and on. How about a month? How about 3 months? 3 months, in my experience, and for a lot of people, that period around 90 days is where the magic starts to happen. This doesn't mean that you're no longer going to relapse. Remember, the failure will be there. You will go back into it. If not in the first 3 months, in the second set of 3 months, right? 6 months in, 9 months in, you'll relapse. That's all right. But what's important to recognize is the mindset that you can develop towards it. You were able to successfully stay away from the negative habit, from the addiction, for 3 full months. That is worth an accomplishment. Or 6 full months, and that is truly worth celebrating the accomplishment. And once you tap into that level of confidence, knowing that if you've done it before, you can do it again, and then it becomes a game. Well, so what that I'm always going to fail, I'm always going to relapse, right? I'm always going to be able to bring it back, and I'm never going to quit. I'm never going to quit and accept that I'm just a person who just relapses, and because of that I'm never going to stay committed, stay disciplined on the journey. My discipline to the journey continues on, despite the relapses, despite the moments where I let go and I lose track and I find myself on a porn website. What happens in the long run is that eventually your body at a subconscious level recognizes that this is no longer you. And it's really difficult to try to explain it, but if you've gone through enough periods of 90 days or so, it doesn't have to be perfectly 90 days, but your body subconsciously no longer craves the thing anymore. Again, it could be anything. Now, this doesn't mean that your body will never crave it. The cravings will come here and there, but it's gonna get so much easier and easier every time to say no. Oftentimes it's just as easy as, all right, I can smoke the joint, I can do the thing tonight, or how about I'll just wait another night. And then guess what? The next night comes and you don't want to. Other times it's as easy as allowing yourself to indulge. And that's an important aspect of it. We have to agree on the fact that watching one night of pornography maybe once a year, it's just not going to kill you, right? Whatever the bad diet is, once every 6 months, that's probably not going to kill you. So we have to understand that we're talking about soft addictions, and as important as it is to be in control of our lives, the addictions we are discussing here are, for the most part, manageable. So the goal should be to manage, not to quit and put so much pressure on never, ever, ever, never going back to it again. Because you will. Chances are you will. And if you only focus on managing the addiction, what you'll find more and more is that when you do go back into it, very quickly, within a minute or two, you are disengaged, because this is no longer you. Subconsciously, your body just doesn't resonate with your body anymore. So to wrap the video up, my thoughts for this video were the ability to identify our problems, the ability to be like, hey, this is something that it's just not working in my life. This is something I need to let go of. And then, perhaps I would like to substitute it with this, because that's always a pretty easy transition. And then allowing ourselves to mess it up, allowing yourself to fail more, as I always say, like allowing yourself to go through the journey, trying to manage it, and learning, discovering more about yourself through that journey, and allowing yourself to love yourself despite the failures that come along the way, and recognizing that no matter what, you're not going to get off the path. Stay on the path.